I'm out here in Tyndall, Manitoba today to document the demolition of the Tyndall Grain Elevator. Where are you? Wait, where? There it is. Grain elevators, sometimes called prairie castles or prairie sentinels, as they stand tall watching over the large areas they serve, used to be found almost every 10 miles or so. However, as with new technology and progress, these have been replaced by significantly larger cement elevators and are so few and far between now that in 2016, the National Trust of Canada actually put them on its top 10 list of most endangered places in Canada. This was a slightly strange contract for me, but before I get to that, I really need your help. I need you to like the video and subscribe to the channel. The reason for this is in order to get partnered with YouTube, you need at least 1,000 subscribers on your channel. So please, again, like and subscribe. So I was recently contracted by the previous owners of the Tyndall Grain Elevator to document its demolition. This was part of their family history since they had owned it since the 70s, and having already been a part of multiple CBC documentaries all the way back to the 80s, they wanted to preserve the moment and have the photos and videos as a keepsake for their family, as well as the potential to use them for future documentaries. But I'll let Matt and his dad explain, with an unfortunate amount of background noise for some unknown reason, a little bit more about their story.
How long did your family have it for?
It's in the 70s, early 70s.
Okay.
It'll be 50 years. Yeah. Our Tyndall Grain got incorporated exactly 40 years ago this year.
Okay.
I went through the incorporation documents, so my dad would have had it while he was farming yet. They bought it when they were farming. My uncle and my dad bought it together when they were farming. They used it for their own use for 10 years, and then after that my dad started a grain business because he had all the contacts from when he was farming, so he served the community that way with buying and selling grain. He also had a commercial grain dryer here where we used to dry a lot of grain for the area. A lot of farmers in the area used it, and then when we bought and sold grain as well, so we used it for storage facility.
Something had to be done. In its present state, there was a lot of vandalism on site. It was becoming a security issue and a safety issue.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it either had to be preserved or demolished. And the latter.
Obviously what's happening, we couldn't preserve it. But, and the fellow that bought the property, I think, will turn it into a nice development. Yeah. And he's having success in dealing with the local government, so hopefully everything will turn out. Be a nice subdivision with some new housing starts or multiple use housing starts.
That's great.
Right in downtown of Tyndall.
It's too bad we couldn't save the elevator. We ran into a bit of opposition in terms of the project. That's water under the bridge. We wish the developer very good luck.
Yes.
It is good to see progress in Tyndall.
Yes.
And the entertainment value of the demolition has been incredible.
Matt and his Faja further told me that they had offered tens of thousands of dollars to help move, relocate, restore, or otherwise preserve the elevator. This included them creating a campaign to save it in 2017, but unfortunately they couldn't make any of those happen. This is the unfortunate demise of the Prairie Grain Elevator. Loss of interest, not enough money or momentum. The reason this was a slightly strange contract for me is normally for any given shoot, you're just given a date, you check it twice, and you show up on time. But in this case, there was no date. The date of a demolition is really often kept secret, and if not secret, at least fairly quiet for multiple reasons, including safety, possible protests in some cases, but also they're regularly rescheduled due to wind and weather. So for my part in this, I'd have to be ready to go at any time. Now this is a little bit more strenuous because I had to keep all of my batteries charged and all of my gear ready to go with really less than maybe 8 to 10 hours notice. For a couple of weeks, the weather, including a major snowfall in April, slowed down work on this site significantly. But our sign that the demolition was near was going to be a perimeter fence being set up around the site. So Matt contacted me late one Thursday night and said, hey, the fence is up, but they're saying that they're not really going to be doing any work right away on it, and asked me what I thought. And I said, hey look, why don't we just get out there, get some initial shots, see what it's like, take a look at the site, and figure it out from there. So I showed up on site the next day around lunchtime, and since I hadn't gotten a site safety briefing yet, I had my delicious gas station sub while I waited to talk to Matt. And when he first showed up, he was pretty excited because he said that some work might actually be done that same day. So I put my nutritious lunch down and set up my takeoff area and got my drone ready, as I wanted some footage before they started the demolition. However, right after I was set up, Matt came by again and said that they were going to pretty much start right away. So I got a GoPro ready for a time-lapse, ran over the spot that I had already chosen for it, and bolted back to my drone just as they started to tear it down. This is likely a good point to talk about the logistics of setting up a major drone shoot like this. I'll let myself from the past talk to you about it. Drones, drone batteries, more drone batteries, more drone batteries, power banks, power inverters, cameras, walkie-talkies. It's all part of doing a really big drone shoot. Now that I do both photography and videography with drones, every contract is a little bit different when it comes to gear. When I'm going out of town especially, I like to bring a power inverter so that I can be able to charge my batteries just as fast as I charge them at home. I also bring a bunch of power banks to charge stuff right on site, and also to connect directly with the GoPros in case I need a really long time-lapse. So even after the first building came down, there was still kind of a question mark in the air whether the main structure, the main grain elevator, the large structure, would come down that same day. But the operator who had taken down the first couple of buildings was so efficient, he was so good at it. It only took him 10 or 20 minutes to demolish those two first buildings. So I figured he was definitely going to do it the first day, but again, there was still this question mark. So finally, a little bit later on in the afternoon, Matt came to me and said that yes, they were definitely going to take it down a little later in the day. So I found a better position right in front of where the building was supposed to fall, and I set up my drone takeoff area and all of my cameras right there. So finally, we have the main event. After he waved goodbye with his machine, it was just a matter of a little nudge and the whole thing went down perfectly. The operator took about 20 minutes or so to precisely weaken the structure, and then it was just a matter of knocking out one little last section, and it fell exactly where he wanted it to. If you look closely, everybody's kind of backing up as the building comes down, but Matt stays right in place, and it looks like he gets buried in rubble when actually all he got was just a little bit of light debris in his face. It was a really exciting end to a big day and a big structure. Other than the massive explosion of wood and grain, one of the most interesting things that happened on site that day was just talking to the locals and the demolition crew and Matt and his dad. Stories of grain elevators being built 100 years ago in just 3 or 4 weeks, and all the information and knowledge of what grain elevators meant to the people in these communities was amazing to hear from them. It seemed like just about everybody on site had a great story about how grain elevators and the grain industry affected their families. Sadly, places like this will continue to disappear, but thankfully we'll never really lose them because we've got all of these great people with great memories of them. Thanks again for watching, and please remember to like the video and definitely subscribe to my channel as I'm still trying to build it up. Thanks again.